Whenever we hear freedom fighter, the image of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bosu, Khudiram Bosu, or Baghajuddin comes to our mind. But does the fight for freedom only mean bullets, guns, and bombs? No. The fight against imperialism was done by different people in different ways. And one such fight was against cultural imperialism. The Europeans who colonized India constantly made us feel inferior by saying that Indians cannot write history, or by saying that Western civilization was superior to Indian civilization. To counter this narrative, Bengal School of Art emerged in Calcutta, which later influenced artists from Shantiniketan in 1900s. This school of art promoted a distinctly Indian modernism which flourished throughout India by synthesizing folk art, traditional Indian painting, Hindu imagery, indigenous materials, and depictions of contemporary rural life. The artists of Bengal School of Art celebrated humanism and brought a dynamic voice to Indian identity, freedom, and liberation. The Bengal School of Art was heavily inspired by Swadeshi movement in 1905. This school of art was pioneered by Abanindranath Tagore, who was the nephew of Rabindranath Tagore. Abanindranath and his sister Sunayani Devi enjoyed the support of E.B. Havell, who was the British administrator and principal of the Calcutta School of Art at that time. Both Abanindranath and Havell were critical of the colonial school of arts and the way European art was being imposed on Indians. They firmly believed in creating a new style of painting that was Indian, not only in subject matter but also in style. For them, Mughal and Pahari miniatures were more important sources of inspiration rather than either the company school of paintings or the academic style taught in the colonial art schools. Havel and Abanindranath designed a curriculum to include and encourage technique and themes in Indian art traditions. Abanindranath's journey's end shows the influence of Mughal and Pahari miniatures and his desire to create an Indian style in painting. Bangomata, painted by Abanindranath Tagore in 1905, was based on the personification of the nation by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay in his novel Anandamath, which was based on the Sannyasi revolt and the Great Bengal famine of 1770. This artwork depicts a saffron-clad woman dressed like a sadhvi and sheaves of paddy, a book, a white piece of cloth, and a rudraksh in her four hands. This painting was the first illustrated depiction of the concept and was painted during the Swadeshi movement, keeping the greater Indian freedom struggle in mind. Sister Nivedita renamed this painting Bharat Mata and wished to carry it all over the India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and she wanted everyone to see this. The new direction opened by Abanindranath Tagore was embraced by new artists like Gitindranath Majumdar. Gitindranath Majumdar portrayed traditional Bengali culture and rituals in his work. It contributed to constructing a unique Indian identity at a time when colonial rule was systematically eroding traditional practices and cultural expressions. Nandalal Bosu, who was a disciple of Abanindranath Tagore, was invited by Rabindranath Tagore to head the newly established Department of Painting at Kala Bhavan, which was India's first national art school. It was part of Vishwabharati, a university established by Rabindranath Tagore at Shantiniketan. Nandalal Bosu paid attention to the folk arts that he saw in villages around in Shantiniketan. Later, Mahatma Gandhi invited Nandalal Bose to paint panels. famously called the Haripura panels. These panels depicted ordinary rural folks in various activities. These posters were aligned with Gandhi's socialist vision of including the marginalized Indian society through art. Nandalal Bosu also created a lino card of Mahatma Gandhi during the Salt Satyagraha in 1930. Titled Bapuji, this lino card depicted Gandhiji's strong stride against the British Raj. Ashit Kumar Haldar, nephew of Rabindranath Tagore, studied painting under two leading Bengali artists, Jodu Pal and Bokeshwar Pal, and joined Nandalal Bosu to study the Ajanta paintings and frescoes from 1905 to 1911. Haldar's work synthesized Buddhist art with Indian art through a sense of idealism. His art, infused with depictions of Krishna and Radha, contributed to a revival of Indian mythological traditions, which in turn helped to ignite a collective consciousness rooted in a shared past. He was the first Indian artist to be appointed as a principal of a government art school and was the first Indian to be elected a Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, London in 1934. In addition to his artistic production and poetry, Haldar, like his fellow artists of the Bengal Art School, committed his life to social reforms and educational programs that would build a sense of Indian nationalism for contemporary and future generations. Jamini Roy underwent academic training in Colonial Art School but rejected it and embraced Indian folk style from rural Bengal, effectively providing a visual language to express abstract nationalist principles like unity among diversity among India's diverse communities. Artists like Chitta Prasad Bhattacharya used his images to critique the colonial policies of the British rule. His works on the Bengal famine exposed the harsh realities of the British rule in India, which generated both national and international condemnation. Kakuzo Okakura, a Japanese nationalist, came to Shantiniketan to visit Rabindranath Tagore. He wanted to unite all the eastern countries against Western imperialism. He, along with two other artists of Japan, came to Shantiniketan to teach the Japanese technique of wash painting as an alternative to the European style of oil painting. The Swadeshi artists were also influenced by the European artists who rejected academic realism. In 1922, the Bauhaus School of Germany came to Calcutta for an exhibition of works of Paul Klee, Kandinsky, and other artists. Gaganendranath Tagore, who was the brother of Abanindranath Tagore, was influenced by this Western style of painting. He made caricatures in which he made fun of rich Bengalis who adapted the Western style of living. So, it can be seen that modern art in India developed as a conflict between nationalism and colonialism. While colonialism brought in new institutions like art galleries, art exhibitions, art schools, art magazines, art societies, nationalist artists, while accepting these changes, continued to assert more Indian taste in art and even accepted a larger Asian identity. Art thus became an effective medium for political expression, merging culture and politics in a way such that it had a lasting impact on Indian freedom struggle. The aesthetic and thematic choices made by artists of the Bengal School of Art provided a visual language that powerfully complemented the political and ideological rhetoric of the time. So that was all about how the Bengali visual artists made their stance against the mighty British Empire. Here, freedom wasn't fought but was painted. But do you know how Bengali literature made its stand against the mighty British Empire? Subscribe to my channel to know. It takes a lot of time, effort, and money to bring you to these well-researched documentaries. If you want me to continue creating these documentaries, kindly consider donating here so that I can continue creating. Thank you. দাঁড়া ডোগো চলে যাক। আরে না না